All right, let's try this. See if I can get my inner voice. Welcome to the San Antonio Fancast.
You got
My
10
name is
seconds.
Harry. Royce is speeding on I-35 somewhere. He went to Bucky's. Got Matt his what is it?
The Golden Nuggets.
The Golden Nuggets. After Matt passed 4 Bucky's on his trip to Houston and back. But Royce had a good reason. Mama Royce had her birthday today, so Mama Royce is in the Austin area. So happy birthday to Mama Royce.
Happy birthday.
Hopefully it was a fun one. Let's start with the bottom. Jonathan, how are you? Fun night last night. I know your press corps people, you're up there kind of by yourself. I kind of felt bad for you.
Yeah, Steven and Aaron usually flanking me, my henchmen. Unfortunately, one of them, as I told you, was actually recovering from surgery. I don't know what Aaron's excuse was, but no, I mean it's preseason. Like I can't hold it against them. And Stephen Whitaker and I, we had our fun up there. We held it down.
Matt, how was MLS Houston and the opening kickoff? Better result than Austin FC. You got a draw. Not as good a result as the best team in Texas, Dallas, as far as MLS wise here. So who got a knockoff win?
They should have won,
but you didn't.
I don't know how they called that offside goal, man. It pissed me off. It was not even offside.
They went back to the first pass when he got the ball. He was offsides on that, but yeah,
damn.
As a whole.
But it was great, man. Got to hang out with the Surge, Texans Army, and the battalion also. So it was a lot of fun. I kept looking at X to get updates to watch the SAFC game. So I was watching those.
Preseason. There's no updates.
No, they had updates.
A little.
It counted. I knew when they scored at least.
So Rafa, tomorrow we're busy. You got your TAPS playoff predictions. Got the brackets almost set. Just waiting on 2 scores to be updated that I can't find out in boys Division 3. But the rest of the brackets are ready, and you ready to pick some brackets? It's getting that season.
Yeah, rock, scissors, paper, scissors, or throw some holy water and all that for those picks. Who has the best sermons? That's who wins. But yeah, ready for that for tomorrow. And then let's shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to the O'Connor Lady Panthers and Taft Lady Raiders. Great game yesterday. Thank you, Coach Cano, for joining me for 210 High School Soccer Live. And thanks for the praise and the kudos for both teams on X. So we enjoyed the game. It was a 1-1 tie. Very exciting. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes for both of them.
So, yeah, high school soccer if you can. There's about a month left, 3 weeks left in the season.
About 4 weeks left
of the regular season. So if you haven't had an opportunity to go out and support, whatever high school team of your choice is, or JV team like I do, or middle school coming up. Middle school comes up in March for that here, but go out and support the local kids all over town, south side, north side, way out in Bernie, way up at the hill country. A lot of good action going on. But we're here to talk about San Antonio FC. They came out with, so we got 3 topics here mainly. 1, Kevon Lambert on loan from Real Salt Lake. 2, another new addition, the Community First Health Plans as the official jersey sponsor of, or jersey partner, I guess is what they call it. And then, of course, the match versus Antigua GFC, Guatemala FC here, that happened last night, right? Yeah, today's Sunday, so last night here. So, Rafa, we'll let you pick which new addition do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about Kevon Lambert coming in the loan from Real Salt Lake, or do you want to talk about the new kit sponsor?
Good, Lambert.
All righty, so we're going to go with that. So in a big move, Real Salt Lake loans Kevon Lambert on loan from Real Salt Lake. A lot of people will remember him with Phoenix Rising. If you go to any Phoenix Rising message board, social media, they were not happy about this move. Kevin Lambert, 26 years old, was the all-time leading appearances here. He had 15 goals, 10 assists. But as a defensive midfielder, one of the best out there. That's why he got signed to MLS Real Salt Lake. Huge dude. Saw him in person. I saw him when he was with Rising, but when he's with SanAntonio and you actually look at him, the dude's built. He's probably, in my opinion, kind of closest to Sebastian Igabaga as far as like body type and the big build there. So we'll start with you, Matt. Your thoughts on Kevon Lambert coming to SanAntonio, and then we'll go to Jonathan if there's any quotes or anything, any feedback he wants to provide, and then we'll go with Rafa.
I thought it was a good add-on. I looked at him a little bit and seemed pretty great. See why Phoenix was so upset. Shout out to Vaughn. See how we talk about this later on when we play Phoenix. So it was a pretty unique signing to me.
Jonathan?
Yeah, there weren't really any sort of quotes or anything that came out about him, beyond obviously what you get in the press release. But when you get an opportunity, I don't know how this came along. I don't know if Real Salt Lake offered. I don't know if SAFC asked or what, how this connection was made. But when you get an opportunity to bring in a player with those abilities, with that experience, you have to take it. And you were talking about how he looks so huge, and this is something that SAFC, on top of some of the stylistic changes, Marcina even mentioned last night. We're kind of a big team, very physical group, and so obviously he fits in with that philosophy.
Rafa, your thoughts as far as on the technical aspect?
Just a great player. I mean, look at the resume speaks for itself. What he's did at Phoenix, and then just to take him away from them is a big win for us because he's going to help out a lot. I think that's was part of our weakness last year was that central mid area. So now we have an enforcer there that can pair up with Abu, with Hernandez, and and also look at the amount of assists he had. So he can create passes for scoring opportunities. So it's a big win for us, and hopefully this will pay dividends. And I'm sure our forwards are going to be happy having him, feeding the ball to them on the attacks.
Next up, as far as announcements here, they announced a new kit sponsor, Community First Health Plan. Also, when they released the pictures, if you've noticed, Rico's is on the shorts. Toyota moved to the arm shoulder as far as branding, and they extended the naming rights of Toyota Field here. So a lot to like on this here, as far as the local part of it here. Your thoughts, we'll start with you, Matt. Your thoughts initially when they announced Community First Health Plans as the sponsor?
Man, I was trying to see if it was Fred's Fish or like Bill Miller's. I thought it would be some food chain, some big food chain from SanAntonio. But hey, your mental health is good too. Your health is also something important. So hey, not bad, man. Could have been University Health also if we're gonna hit it, but hey, support a local one. That's amazing. Very amazing.
Rafa, your thoughts?
It's a good partnership. Like I said, mental health is important, and what a better way to represent it there in front of the jersey. Now, as far as the jersey itself,
we'll get to that here in a second here.
But we'll save that, and then still have Toyota, and then I don't know the Rico's one. I mean, it's cool to have them on the short, but maybe we could have had them on the back of the jersey, under the number.
Yeah, there's
I mean, that could have been something like that, a spot for them there. But I mean, they're on board, so they just have to find a new guy to eat their nachos now.
GB. Jonathan, your thoughts on it, and then I'll go into the official press release. And there is some great things that come with this partnership, but your initial thought on Community First being named as the official jersey partner.
Well, I'm actually probably about to steal some of those great things from you and, give a bit of a sneak peek to what you're going to be reading about in a few minutes. But first of all, I think having this new partnership is good in the sense that it's going to be bringing some new things to Toyota Field, even though obviously Toyota retains the naming rights for the stadium. Community First is going to be adding a nursing area, for breastfeeding, and also I don't remember exactly what they call it, but an area for people who might be sensitive, or I don't remember the exact wording.
Sensory sensitivities.
Right, that kind of area. And
so the first ever sensory area pod, yeah.
Sensory area pod. Okay, that's how they phrase it. I just think it's good to have those couple of new areas that just give Toyota Field some more places for people to, feel comfortable and just feel, included, I guess you could say. And then also just, I think it's good to have kind of a diversity of these sponsors now. You keep Toyota as, like I said, the stadium rights, and you've still got them on the shoulder. But now you've got a more local shirt sponsor. I mean, that's obviously the most prominent. So it's something that we can look at and say, yes, that is San Antonio based. Same thing with Rico's. So I think it's good to be a little more local in that way. And also, whenever you're going to be announcing a new sponsor, it's always just kind of amusing to see everyone guessing, oh, is it HEB? Is it Frost? And I, having gone to SAFC practices for a few weeks and being told, hey, don't get any pictures of that new front of shirt sponsor. I was laughing at all these guesses because I'm like, guys, just wait for them to announce it. Don't even bother because it's not who you think. You're not going to guess it. I told you guys, when you guys were guessing it last Thursday, I told you guys that you were kind of just throwing things at the dartboard, and I almost thought about giving the analogy that if it was you guys playing darts, you weren't even hitting the board. You weren't even getting close to that sponsor. But I guess, if you have fun with all those guesses, more power to you.
Well, it was funny because Jesus on X, he did a lot of messing with the filters, and he skimmed it a little bit, and you could see it. But it was like, oh, this isn't it. You weren't like, we're all thinking this isn't it. It has to be like a big name like Frost and everything. But that's crazy. It was crazy. He had it, and we thought it was something else.
So, to me, just to kind of go over the news release that San Antonio FC released here, says this is the first professional sports partnership for Community First, which is locally owned and managed a nonprofit health plan in San Antonio and the surrounding area. They were founded in 1995 as part of the university health system here, and they provide health care coverage to the citizens of Bexar County and the surrounding 7 counties. They are the only locally owned and managed nonprofit health plan in the area, committed to our members as they provide the great health and benefits backed by outstanding services delivered by people who live here in South Texas. As Jonathan mentioned here, spaces for all, in keeping with Community First and SAFC's shared mission to foster positive and memorable experiences for fans of all needs and abilities. Community First will sponsor the ADA seating areas at Toyota Field, which includes select seats across sections 123, 27, 103, 107. They'll also sponsor the club's first ever sensory area pod, which will serve as a smoothing space for those with sensory sensitivities, and a breastfeeding pod, allowing mothers a safe and private area to feed or pump. The new pods are designed to create a more inclusive and welcoming match experience for all. The intended placement of these pods is is on the concourse with more details to come further into the 2024 season. And then, of course, they'll also have significant presence with the club's youth sports efforts, presenting a partner of 5 youth soccer clinics, as well as the SAFC Micro League, a recreational and instructional soccer league that introduces San Antonio youth to leadership, teamwork, and positive direction for that here. So, and then, of course, you can always stop by and visit them. They were behind 103 and 107. And they'll also, there's going to be a wall mural on display, stretching from 103 to 107, which will be completed in the early 2024 season. And of course, Toyota remains the naming partner for the field, having extended their partnership this offseason. Because that was the other big thing, is when Toyota wasn't on there, there were some concerns about the Toyota San Antonio FC relationship, but them extending it, them being on the arm sleeve, puts that to sleeve. Rafa talked about the kits. So here's the goalkeeper kit, how it looks. I think, we didn't get to see this kit last night. I noticed the Ricos right away, the blue there. And then, along here, as far as for the pictures here, as far as champion minded. But your thoughts on the kit? I'll just give you my first negative is I think it's a C move. I like the sponsor. I like the ideal from the sponsor, but I would have loved to seen it on a new kit and not a recycled 2023 home kit from last year. To me, where SAFC kind of missed a little bit is, like, I have the 2023 home kit. Am I going to go shell out $90 to buy it just with the change it from Toyota to Community First? Me personally, probably not. I know there are people that will, along those lines here, but to me, I would have liked to seen a new kit to really embrace the new sponsor. And I'm assuming we're getting an away kit, although that hasn't been announced. But historically, outside of when they changed from Nike to Puma, every year they came out with a new kit, rotating home and away. But your thoughts? We'll go with you, Jonathan, first. Your thoughts on the kit, and not really so much the sponsorship, but the kit and the look and feel of this year.
Yeah, so when they unveiled this kit last year, I mean, I didn't think it was amazing, but I kind of like it. It's a neat, sort of different look. It does feel a little weird, though, to be keeping the same kit with a different sponsor. But I guess maybe SAFC is going to get back to, like you said, what they used to do, where they would alternate every year doing a new home shirt or away shirt. So, hopefully we see some interesting and maybe exciting away kits, a couple years ago, or even third kits. Because in the past, for example, SAFC's unveiled the Viva third kit or the Viva alternate kit. So there's still potential there, obviously, with the new sponsor. But I mean, honestly, how picky do we have to be? You can only come up with so many kit designs, so many shirt designs over the years before you start looking at them and saying, haven't we seen this before?
Matt or Rafa, whoever wants to go next. Rafa?
I think we should have just switched it up. You got a new sponsor, just switch it up. Like I said, it's like there's no reason to recycle it. I was going to ask Jonathan, do you have an idea when the Puma contract runs out? Do you have any knowledge on that? Because I'm kind of wondering. Because I'm kind of wondering if that's why they recycled it. If this may be the last year for the Puma contract with them, maybe that's why they kept this. And then maybe because you notice some of the other teams in the USL are going to Charlie or they're going to Hummel. And I'm wondering if this is maybe the reason why they stay to this prototype of the jersey from last year. Is okay. We may be changing it up next year, and then we have something brand new that everybody can possibly buy.
Yeah, I'm not aware of how long the Puma deal is supposed to go. I mean, this is the third season. I did hear off the record a few years ago when SAFC was going to be switching away from Nike, but that was later in the season anyway. So even if I did know something, I wouldn't have heard of it yet. And I think one of us would have known or remembered if they specified with the Puma deal, hey, it's going to be 3 years or 5 years or 2,000 years or whatever.
They just said multi-year deal.
Multi-year.
It's always multi-year.
So maybe this could be the last year of Puma, and that's why they've kind of stuck to this, and just I'm curious to see what the away jersey is going to be. Is it going to be the red, or is it going to go to an all black, or
it could be the gold?
I'm not too fond of the all white. I mean, add some color. Maybe they do the Fiesta, the Fiesta color kind of theme like they did 2 years ago. And then you also, I'm sure they come up with a third kit as well. So we'll see how it kind of, what they come up with. Maybe we can kind of look at some of the Puma stuff right now and see maybe this is what they're kind of targeting and so forth.
But usually, isn't it the Fiesta kit always the third one? I mean, let's be honest.
No,
because remember that was our away jersey 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2022 it was the alternate kit. That was when they had the chevron, sort of the V on the chest. The year before was when it was a third kit, and it was the 3 stripes down the middle of the jersey on a black jersey. Yeah,
because I know from what I'm guessing, they always have to have like a Fiesta kit or a Fiesta pre-game jersey. So that's just how they work. But on this one, yeah, I agree with Harry. It is kind of a little bit of a mess. Could have gave it a little bit more pizzazz instead of the stripes. But I agree with everyone. Let's see what they come out, if they do a third or if they do a new away jersey, because I'm just looking at everybody's coming out, and I want a new one.
And to answer your question here, Rafa, Charlie is the official, is the new fan apparel and footwear rights holder. Is how they announced it here for both the USL Championship and USL League One. But the Super League was not named in the deal as of yet. And I don't know if you've seen the Riverhounds kits, but they look pretty nice. And San Diego Loyal had decent kits as well from Charlie here.
I wonder if we're gonna end up with a second jersey like the AC Milan, like the home, they're red and black, because they're sponsored by Puma. So I wonder if they'll maybe go something similar to them.
I still haven't bought a Puma jersey since we switched, because I just feel like it's gonna be so uncomfortable.
They're not bad.
Or oversize. I know Puma has a reputation for being kind of tight, but
it's the same thing with their
adjust
shoes.
For that.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the actual friendly. So let's look at the initial lineup, which was Hernandez, Patino, Agudelo, Silva, Abu, Lambert, Hankinson, Tainter, Burks, Manley, and Pablo Cisnega. That's how you say it here. Agudelo was a late scratch. I don't believe we got anything of why he was a late scratch. And in his place was Shannon Gomez and Smee. So initially, I think what they had here is they were going to put Luke in the midfield and then Juan up top with Jorge and SanAntonio. And then you would have had Luke, Lambert, Abu, Silva through there. And then, of course, the back three changed. Obviously, with Luke, with Juan going out, Luke slid up and Shannon went in his placement here. So we'll start with you, Jonathan. Your thoughts on the starting lineup here, if you have any?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably pretty close to what you would expect in terms of the strongest SAFC lineup, in terms of the quality of players, in terms of their chemistry, sort of how long they've been in camp. Because obviously, if some of these new guys that haven't come into camp yet, when they do arrive, you wouldn't expect them to just get thrown in the deep end with a bunch of guys that yeah, okay, maybe they've seen on Zoom and stuff, and maybe they kind of understand the principles of the team, but until you actually get some familiarity and some reps on the field, on the training field, and obviously in matches in that system, it's a little risky whether or not they're going to be able to fit in as seamlessly as the guys who've already been here. I think also in terms of seeing, we kind of, when Hawkinson was being brought in, he was kind of listed as more of a winger, and yet we were looking at the lineup the previous weekend and saying, he might be perhaps more of a wing back. Well, this week we got to see there's kind of that versatility, so that's something that Marcina has talked about with some players over the last few years. He's capable of playing a few positions, but then sometimes maybe Alan tries them out in a few positions and they don't quite fit in any of them. And before long, they're moving on to a different team or, getting iced out of the team. So I think it's good to see that Hawkinson actually does have that versatility, and SAFC, albeit in a pinch with not that many players available last night, and obviously having to change the lineup at the last second, but still Alan was able to say, hey, we trust him to move up here, and we'll insert Shannon in. He's fit. He can start again tonight. And so I think it's also just good to see that you've got this strong lineup getting some consistency. Only that one change really didn't even change the goalkeeper, as I thought maybe Marcina might want to do, just to give McIntosh an opportunity to play behind that first choice backline. But he stuck with Cisniega, so all right, that kind of confirms, or not confirms, but seems to hint even more strongly that he is the front runner for the number one spot. Besides all of that, I think that's pretty much all I can think of.
Your thoughts, Matt?
I mean, from what I saw, it on the lineup, it seemed pretty consistent. It seemed pretty well fitting, in a way. How they played, obviously, I don't know how.
Right, you weren't.
I wasn't there.
We know you were in each town.
But I mean, from the little snippet videos that I saw, I mean, they look good. It looked like everything was well put together. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. As losing as many guys we did, I want to see a chemistry before. I just wanted to see chemistry. That's really my whole thing. I really wanted to see chemistry. So it seems like the guys work together. So hopefully, let's see what happens on the night.
Rafa, your thoughts on the lineup here? I know when we initially came out, we were kind of a little bit kind of confused on the actual lineup, and then after the first 10 minutes, we kind of saw the formation, and I think you liked it, just kind of sitting next to you and kind of the feedback that you were given. The versatility between offensively and attacking it brings, and then defensively how the formation kind of shaped back defensively for that here. So your thoughts on the lineup and the versatility it provided SanAntonio FC?
Yeah, it was a good mix, like I said, of experience and youthfulness and speed, and you can tell, that this was a pretty big lineup, minus maybe Abu and Hernandez as far as size. They're pretty, like I said, they had some good height on this, and then also when you have your backups too, like I said, you have Barra and Mohammed, got to see them. They got some good size and good and strength. So, like I said, this could be, like I said, maybe moving forward. I could see this start. These 11 be your starters on game one on the 9th. So there's a possibility there. I know we're missing a couple players like I mentioned, like Lacey and Lucho and Bonnie, and I guess we'll find out more about Juan. If maybe he tweaked something during warm up, so they out of precaution, let's just sit him out. And like I said, once we get Richard too, so it looks promising. Like I said, we're adding the right pieces as far as getting the proper depth, the proper players that can play at those positions, and then we'll elaborate more as far as the style of play that we saw last night. So Harry's on mute.
So goalkeepers, I know that was kind of a concern last week, as far as a theme on the show here. Pablo, I don't think really got tested much in the first half. Kendall, when they brought in the academy trial list, and Omar and Burra. So your thoughts on how the goalkeepers looked? I know probably a little bit unfair to Pablo because he really wasn't tested to my knowledge, but Kendall had some saves. He's got some hops. I'll give him that.
I think you said Pablo. You can see he's good with his feet when they play the ball back, and that's the interesting thing. We started playing the ball, starting the attack from the back. So anything that was passed to him, he was able to pass it well, clear, get it to the side, and so forth. And then what can you say about Kendall? Especially that one-handed save that was going in, and he was able to reach their textbook and get that ball over the bar. And like I said, he didn't have the same defense as Paulo had, but he held his own and did a great job. There were some crosses that were sent in. He was able to get those, and he didn't have trouble. We didn't see any loose balls, so that's a positive sign there. Even though we've seen some videos and stuff, so we know that they've kind of cleaned up a lot of those maybe little inconsistencies they have. Like I said, it's starting to come together for them. They're for the goalkeepers.
Here's a picture of the goal. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've started to wonder if Rafa mentioned how Cisniega seems to be good with his feet, and that might be, rather than goalkeeping ability, that might be what distinguishes Cisniega from McIntosh, what decides who's going to be that number one this year, especially with SAFC being more, quote, ball dominant, more possession focused. If you're going to be making short passes and passing the ball around at the back a little more, then yeah, it makes sense if you're going to have a goalkeeper that you trust him a lot more with his feet. So that, just something to keep an eye on. Maybe that's what's going to be the distinguishing factor rather than just goalkeeping ability, which obviously is, I would say, what you want number one. But if you have to split hairs, that might be where you do it.
Here's the goal from SAFC social media team for that here. And I'll just say what a pass by Jorge. Your thoughts on the goal there? We'll go with you first, Jonathan. You're up high, kind of middle of the pitch here, so you're probably able to see it a little bit more at a different view compared to me and Rafa, where it was coming right at us. Right. Along those lines here. So your thoughts on the goal and just in general. I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis because it is just one preseason game. Antigua GFC is a quality opponent, but like I said here, it is, let's be honest, it's friendly. Although there was 2 yellow cards, which I don't think the ref really wanted to do, but he had to. He didn't have a choice. But Antigua GFC down to 10. But your thoughts on the goal and just kind of summarize the night. As far as for the play on the pitch.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start with the finish from Hawkinson. Obviously, a composed finish. He brings the ball down well and slides it past the keeper from a fairly tricky angle. But I think, like you said, it was a really great pass from Jorge, and he had a couple of those last night where he served in some really dangerous balls. And we asked Marcina after the match, because he's gotten at least two, possibly, I don't know. Well, I know he couldn't have gotten
Got
the
two
assist on
assists.
yeah, I was going to say he couldn't have gotten the assist last night on the second goal because it came off Bura. But he's got 2 assists on the 4 SAFC goals so far this preseason, so that bodes really well. And we talked to Alan, and he said Jorge, in his opinion at least, is the best two-way number 10 in the league. I mean, he joined us or finally sort of got approved to play with SAFC, a month or two into last season, and still I think ended up having a club record for the most assists in a season. He was up there in terms of the league assist count, and so just it's going to be really interesting and I think exciting to see what he is able to do this year. Now that I mean, SAFC's style has evolved, sure, but it's still the same kind of underlying principles. And regardless of what style you have, if you've got a player who can pick those passes and create those chances, it fits into just about any style, I would say. Also worth noting now, and I put this in my recap, we've had 4 different SAFC goal scorers so far in preseason, and all 4 have been newcomers. So that's, I think, just an interesting wrinkle in how it happened, what's been going on so far. But part of it's credit to Jorge, playing in great balls, and some of these other guys. But it's a good way, and I think helps kind of settle in a lot of these new guys. I don't know if you want to talk about the style and the more quote ball dominant. Do we want to get into that yet, or do we want to save that a bit?
You can see there's a big difference as far as I'm not saying we're doing the little ticky-tacky possession type of deal, but you can tell that we can actually connect more than 2 passes. And then we're also being patient with the ball. We're not forcing things. We're kind of letting things develop. That's what I saw a lot last night. And I know we had maybe a few long balls, but there were actually proper long balls, sent balls to the space. There were actually, we got under and able to kind of create chances. And not like last year where we kept on forcing balls in the motor from the back and the other teams were intercepting it all the time. We also switched the ball from one side to the other side, and that's how we got the first goal. And that was an element of the game we were missing last year. And you can tell that the guys were very comfortable with it. It seemed fresh. It seemed a lot different. The style was way different from what we saw last year. And I think this can end up paying dividends. And I think we do have the right people for that system of play going into the season. We'll see what the rest of the bench comes in, when the rest of the guys come and see how they fit in as well.
I'm glad you invoked the tiki-taka title, because I saw last night some of these sort of shorter passes, just kind of in the middle of the park, and I was thinking, does this count as tiki-taka? I don't know. I mean, it's not quite as extreme. It's not taking that philosophy to the extreme that Barcelona or Manchester City have done. But Marcina said after the match that kind of the idea with playing more of these passes, having the more of the ball, is to try and the phrase he's used a few times so far this season is provoking pressure to penetrate. And the idea is they're kind of, he even admitted last night, ideally they want to bring their opponents in centrally and then create spaces out on the wings and behind some of these enemy lines to put balls into. So that's when you then spring the trap and you go for the killer pass from Jorge or someone like that. That's when you kind of go for the jugular, so to speak. So far so good. I mean, it's still going to be a work in progress, I'm sure. And we saw it a lot with what we consider to be kind of the first team. When you're having to start switching guys in and out because of injuries, international duty, all that. We'll see if that cohesion and that chemistry falters a bit. But until you see it do so, you kind of just have to say, okay, well, it looks good so far. But we'll see how it progresses throughout the season, and we'll see how it actually bears out in the actual matches when they start in a couple weeks.
You can tell about them playing the wide. We were a lot wider. We saw Shannon wide and Lucas wide, and that really kind of spread Antigua out, and that really created a lot of more spacing, especially for the passing. You got to spread them out a bit. I was impressed by Lucas's play. That's a big upgrade from Jomi. He was physical, fast, doesn't force balls. Like I said, he's very patient. If nothing, okay, play it back, we'll get around, and I think he's going to be probably one of the big surprises this year. He's going to do, I think, a lot of damage on that left side, but he's also have a good recovery going back and defending too. But same thing with Luke too. Luke to play on that side, and then with him and Shannon, you can tell they really fed off each other, playing the ball. They're on that side of the field too. So you can see kind of glimpses of here and there that, hey, this really has potential to maybe surprise some teams. And like I said, I think the players, you can tell that they really enjoyed that kind of that system and playing just being patient with it, and they weren't forcing errors. And I think that's another thing. We didn't have a lot of errors last night. It was, maybe we let them the second half with the academy kids, but here in this first team really didn't have as many errors like maybe we saw a lot last year.
I know for me, the biggest difference, and it's a half, one game, whatever. But if this is the style that they're going to be playing, last year there was always pressure, whether they were trying to put pressure offensively or they were under pressure. There was a couple of times where you could tell they kind of wanted to go, but then they backed it off, passed it back, and just kind of, okay, hey, let's take 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever, just to kind of reset things. And to me, that's going to be a huge benefit, because you're not just the mentality where you're able to just to kind of, all right, take a step back. How's the game going? Kind of relax and then be able to push forward through there. I think that's going to be the biggest advantage of switching to this more quote unquote possession base, where I don't know, where it'll probably be 45-55 instead of 60-40, most
70-30.
But to me, that, and Rafa and Matt, you guys may be able to speak to this here, but just kind of having those 30 seconds, 15 seconds where, the game kind of just chills out for that time frame, and then they go again. So, Matt, if you want to kind of talk about that, just, how slowing down the possession really benefits you in other aspects of the game. You're on mute, Matt. You pulled a Harry.
I know. I had it because my dog was barking. What do you call it? Yeah, it really does make a difference when they slow it down just a bit. Once you hit the fast pace, seen it a bunch of the times when, let's put it, when SanAntonio would push forward, or when there's so many times Piranha would push forward, Forbes, like all the different times where you would see him push forward. And they're like, all right, hey, let's slow it down. Like, we're getting ahead of ourselves. And you see their defense trying to set back up. It's good that they take time and they take a little bit of, like, hey, let's reset real quick. All right. And then they get the puncher. It works very good in depending on the team's style play. But, hey, man, I don't care if you need to reset. As long as he can get in there and get a goal. If it helps, it helps.
Well, to me, it also prevents a goal too, because it takes time up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that too.
Your thoughts, Rafa?
Yeah, one thing with Pablo also, you have him as another field player there back there, and one of the things that we're starting to learn how to play from the back and create, and that's something we didn't do really a lot last year. And we can play the ball back and forth. And you can see, like, even here, was impressed with Burke. Burke was really kind of controlling back there, especially kind of bringing the ball, controlling the ball, spreading it. And that's the thing. We really worked the ball side to side, being patient, kind of suckering Antigua in, and then we send the ball up when we saw the space open, and also the pressure up top. You saw Santi was really getting under the skin of number 44, but he was very physical.
He got booed, but I liked him.
And that's the thing was, Santi got under the skin, but he was able to get a couple steals, and that's going to be a key there, and especially when he got those balls and the passes were sent to like Jorge, and then really quick we switched it to the other side, and boom, and I think that's kind of how the first goal started. So if we can kind of be very more like I said, stay consistent on the passing, and just being the main thing is being patient. And I think last year we tried to rush things, and then other teams kind of figured that out. This year it's going to be difficult because the other teams are going to be like, what are we going to do here? Can we? And if we sucker them in, that's going to allow, especially with Jorge. Jorge's going to have a lot of space, and especially if you saw, some of the passes sending them on to Lucas and to Luke and so forth. We're really going to have it's like I said, I don't know if we're going to score a bunch of goals, but we're going to score a lot of meaningful goals. But then also we're going to be able to kind of kill also the clock from keeping those teams from, keep getting the ball back too. And that's something we gave a lot last year. Is we gave them too much possession, and maybe that hurt us a bit, especially when we had leads, lost leads down the stretch.
All right. Well, we need to slow down the show. Let's slow down the show here. Hold on.
And I the blood I don't know when I'm stuck in full grip and I
All right. And thank you to FTC and the Copatejas and whoever put the video together here. The audio isn't coming through very well. So I'll have to fix this, see if I can get this in a format to where we can just play it here. I know it's on the FTC social media handle for that here, but we'll work on that here. But Matt, thank you for sharing that with us here. I think that might be our intermissions where we kind of play that and hype up each home game. Just change the last thing here. Get your tickets or bonus tickets along those lines here. So we'll have to kind of work with you on that, or work with whoever put the video together. But well done for that here. Anything else that you guys want to talk about on the friendly? I know it's one game. We're 2 weeks out. I know we go against the team up north, the second team, in a game that we won't really have any information on for that here. So this upcoming week, we'll probably get a starting lineup. With it being the week out, trying to avoid injuries. We'll see here. Any things that you anything that you think that we could find? Well, yeah. Well, let me first answer the final thoughts. Any final thoughts on the game here, and then we'll move on to one question that Rafa asked here or pointed out here. If there's still a couple of roster spots open, what roster spots would you want those to be filled as here? But we'll go around the horn. Final thoughts on the Antigua GFC, and then we'll move into if you were the GM for if you were Marco, what's the one or two positions that you'd be looking to fill in some depth? We'll go with you, Rafa.
Well, as far as the finishing up with the game, I was impressed by Muhammad Omar and Bura.
Mhm.
I think those are two solid players that can come in if there is an injury. I was very impressed by them. They had some really good leadership back there, especially working with those. I think with one of the trialists and also the younger players too. So, I mean, they held their own. Like I said, Omar got the goal. I think they also had some good chemistry with Kendall as well. So I think we're good there with the defense. I think we got some good people. They got some, like I said, they have speed, they have experience, and I think that's going to help us out there for us, as far as. And then we'll see if any of those academy kids or maybe the trialists get an opportunity. A couple of those trialists did play well. We'll see if they'll make the final roster.
Matt, I know you didn't see the game, but any final thoughts that you have on your weekend here? As far as that, I know you got to see family in Houston, and I know you were the reason why you went is because you were working on building relationships, for FTC.
Hey, it works, bro. It still works. Anyways, from this game, from what I got, like I said, what I got to saw, it seemed everything was great. Chemistry was great, and everything just played out well for what we have. So, just hopefully this can keep pushing forward, and we see what comes on the 9th.
Jonathan, final thoughts, and then any plans this week for you, or the next 2 weeks, really, because before we get there, for Bluish Moon, any things that we should be on the lookout for from you coming up as far as post-match reflections? I know you already did the match recap, but anything else that you foresee coming up?
Well, first of all, with the sort of final thoughts from the Antigua friendly, and Rafa kind of touched on this, but in that second half, it was sort of a few of the other senior guys, and then mostly academy players and trialists, and it didn't really feel like there was that much of a drop off. In the past, you see the promise, but you also see some of the youth, some of the maybe nervousness or just little mistakes that they'll make, and it would not have. Well, heck, you look at the week before. You have that same kind of youth heavy lineup, and all of a sudden SAFC is losing 3-1 before long. So to see them hold their own, and Marcina even said, he saw the growth from that Houston Dynamo 2 friendly to this week against Antigua. So that was just really nice to see. And I even not added, but texted you guys in the group chat toward the end of the game. I was like, is it just me, or do the academy players look more confident and composed than they ever have? It's obviously it's been different guys over the years. They're only going to be around for a few years, and then they go to college or Denmark or wherever. But it was just, I think, really good to see that they held their own. And Marcina and Muhammad Omar also talked a fair bit about that last night. And Omar, having played that second half alongside them, he was just really, really glad for them. And so I think that also might kind of end up being my overall final thought for this show. But it was just really good to see them have a good display. In terms of if you want to fill out the roster anymore, I mean, it's going to be hard to tell until we get the entire squad in, and until we see, okay, what fringe MLS guys are going to be brought in, because it seems like that's been a common theme. One area that I am a little curious about is we've sung Jorge Hernandez's praises tonight. Alan sung his praises last night. What happens if he gets an injury? Who steps up?
That's the one.
I can tell you who. Cameron Lacey.
You think Lacey would be the one to do that?
Lacey's the one, yeah.
I think
this is how I think
yeah.
it's set up here. Solinak and Patino, Agudela and Hankinson. I think we already saw that where they flipped those two. I think Cameron Lacey is the backup for Jorge.
Okay, because I feel like, I mean, we've got obviously some really quality center forwards, or just forwards, guys that are playing up there, but Hernandez is kind of that link between everything going on behind, that build up, and then the guys who are tasked with scoring the goals. And obviously, it would be very hard to replace Jorge. You're not going to completely, just like for like. It's not a straight swap. You would see some sort of drop off, but someone who can at least keep things together, keep things from completely falling apart without that one really critical link between that sort of build up and finishing. So if you think it's Lacey, all right.
Well, on the current roster, it's got to be him.
I think you need to find. I think you need to find someone to back him up and you got to find a player that's similar to his style. And Lacey may not be kind of like his style, but that's something we talked about yesterday. Is there someone out in MLS?
Royce mentioned Agudelo also played as a 10 at Birmingham last year.
But the thing is, speed-wise, and younger, you want someone that can really. And you saw what he was doing. Jorge was doing. Hernandez was doing. He was really pressing too. He was getting into quote unquote the chicken fighting in there against the defense from Antigua. But I agree with Jonathan. I think we do need to find another player that can just similar to him. It's not going to be like him, but similar style as far as speed that can distribute. I think that's what hurt us last year, not having what's his name from last year that was hurt pretty much.
David Loera.
Loera. We had him last year. It may have been a difference, but like I said, he just was not reliable because of his injuries. But we do need someone with that similar style because he's a game. The thing is, he's a game changer. And he's a change of pace, and that's what we need. So when you sub Corker out, he's out. He still has that similar style too as well.
I'm also going to chime in really quickly here in terms of what Royce was saying about Agudelo playing a 10. I'm sure if Alan goes up to him, pats his eyelashes, and asks really nicely, he would. You do what your coach tells you to do. But Agudelo actually, I didn't really have any way to work this into an article or anything, but something he mentioned this past Thursday when we talked to him at training was he kind of wants to be a little, basically more ruthless as an attacking player, as a forward. He's talked about sort of passing up opportunities, making a pass to a teammate. And, it sounds like he wants to take more shots and, create more goals because of that. So, again, if Alan asks if SAFC's in a pinch, he could play 10, but that's not exactly what he'd like to do. And I think that's not what you should be forcing him to do. It could work in a pinch, but I think you might want to get someone who's more comfortable in that position, who is just a better fit for that position, in terms of their skill set, and someone who you're not then taking away from your forward line from your goal scorers.
Final thoughts. We'll start with you, Jonathan. Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say? Man City play this week, Champions League. Anything along those lines? Since they are the champions of the world, unlike Real Madrid.
Always finding a way to take a dig at Rafa's Real Madrid. So nothing Man City related, and I'm probably not going to be writing anything particular this week unless something major comes up. Actually, I will. So I did already kind of talk about. It was nice to see the young players for SAFC getting their opportunity. We don't always get to see them, obviously, in the league. Sometimes we see them in the early rounds of the Open Cup or in the friendlies. So that was good. But my final thoughts, and actually, this is something that we maybe should have. Okay, someone needs to turn their vibrate off. But anyway, something that we maybe should have included in the lineup this week, but last week at the Crocketeers meeting, a representative from the SanAntonio Athenians, playing their first USL W League season this year, talked about how there are plans and there's the intention to join the USL Super League, not this inaugural season starting later this year, but in 2025. If that comes to fruition, I mean, we'd love to see that. That would be great. I think we can all agree the Athenians have been kind of the the sort of vanguard and the point of the spear in terms of the growth of women's soccer in this city. So it would be really cool to see that come to fruition, see them take that next step, and not only for them to be playing in a league like that, but to be creating a whole structure. They also talked about trying to build a vertically integrated, girls and young women's academy all the way up. And I believe they said that would basically be the first female only academy structure and vertical structure in the area.
Well said. I thought we covered that, but that was a week ago, and which seems like a year ago.
Well, because we the problem was we had a show last Sunday in the morning, and then the meeting was in the afternoon. So it was kind of like it was a fairly I'd say a fairly routine meeting, and then suddenly representative from the Athenians gets up there and says, yeah, well, we've got this intention. I'm like, okay, putting my reporter hat on really quick, that's huge. So it was just something that occurred to me, and we hopefully will have more to report on it in the future. But for now, even just hearing the intention, that's a positive sign.
Matt, your final thoughts? What do you got planned? March 9th, anything along those lines that we need to pass out? I know you work closely with Stuart and 210 and James and the Crocketeers. Anything that we as a fan base can kind of help and help the supporters out with coming up on the year?
I mean, just if anybody wants to volunteer, set up, take down. That's the best thing I could probably say. It would help the experience better. That way, everybody has time to have fun. Everybody gets to enjoy the tailgates. That's pretty much the only thing I would say. Just help put up and tear down. That would be the best thing ever to help some of the guys out. But as far as this upcoming tailgate, a lot's gonna be. It's probably gonna be a good one. Not even a good one, a freaking great one coming up. Is
it pinata worthy or not pinata worthy?
Oh, it's very pinata worthy. Yeah, it's one of the kids' birthdays from FTC. One of the moms said that was
nice.
her child's birthday, so I gotta get a pinata. Either way, we were gonna get one, but
has it already been decided the flavor of the? Got to be a horse, right?
I think it's probably it's gonna be the
Loudon with their symbol.
It's a horse. Yeah. We're gonna keep it that way, and we'll have guests there. Hopefully, from what we talked in the supporter meeting, we get a little bit of a surprise. So I'll leave it at that. And come out, guys. Get your tickets. Get ready. The 9th, we need all hands on deck on that one. I want all hands on deck.
Rafa, your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, like I said, looking forward to another week of tomorrow. Like I said, make sure you guys join us for the TAPS bracketology. So we'll make our private school picks. But congrats to Geneva boys for their win. And then also we'll talk about the rest of the week where some recap of this game's also from Thursday. And also want to give a message out there. So Mission City Soccer Complex is hosting the Mexican men's and women's national team U13, U15 tryouts on March 2nd and 3rd. So if you're interested, go to our website or go to the Mission City Facebook page. There is you can sign up. Great opportunity. If you're thinking you can make the Mexican women's or men's national team for their youth academy, sign up. Space is limited, and so hopefully we'll see some of our youth here in San Antonio. Go out there, try out, and see. Who we know, we may have the next pick, the next Chicharito here from San Antonio, or the next, Ochoa. So shout out to them, to Mission City. They're at the soccer complex.
So I forgot to come back to this because this came in right at the top of the show. Jolanda Dow, kind of off topic, but what's up with the scoreboard? If the scoreboard gets any worse, we're not going to be able to see the score. The scoreboard needs help. I think we all know that here.
We've been saying this for so long, and they still haven't, I guess, found a right company to fix it.
Well, I've heard to be able to get into there, it's not a fun job. We'll just leave it at that here. So scoreboard looked like they were playing Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, the scoreboard is hopefully something in the next 2 weeks that they can get rectified because, well, scoreboard's not looking good as far as through there. Toyota Field is showing some age, but like I said here, to me, my final thought is it was great to be out there. I got to see, some people I haven't seen in a couple of months for that here. I didn't get to see Matt because Matt, decided to go elsewhere, but, outside of that, got to rib Jonathan for not having any friends up in the press box for this game for that here. And, got to see Royce and then talk to him for a few minutes. It was a fun crowd. They announced about 4,500, probably pretty close to that, which wasn't bad for the Dad, can you turn on my internet for my PC? Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, AJ. Like I said, it was a fun time. I think as fans, like I said here, we've got something to look forward to. Despite all the turmoil, frustration, drama of the off season, I think you can see that SAFC does have a plan. We'll have to see how it comes together. Obviously, it's a half, but if you go to the first half against the Matt Gomez's Houston Dynamo 2 team, they shut them out, and then shut out Antigua. So defensively for the first team, they're looking pretty solid here, and hopefully they'll be able to continue with that here. Royce is telling AJ, go to bed. It is a school night, but
damn, that's crazy.
But no, like I said here, we're an hour and 10 minutes in, which I'm kind of shocked is a low show for me as far as talk time here, but I do want to get us out. Tomorrow night, 7:30, be sharp because I have to go pick up AJ at his practice at about 8:45. We're going to do the TAPS playoff brackets, divisions 1, 2, and 3 for both the boys and the girls. There has already been some games played, especially on the D3 side. There are some teams that have the double bye for it here, so like Central Catholic won't play till next weekend for that here. But tune in to see how Rafa and I go through and discuss TAPS, which is kind of hard to pick, but Rafa does pretty well. I'll give cap to him. But what's life without goals? What's life without goals? We're out of here. Hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Happy birthday to Royce's mom, and Royce, we'll see you next week for that here to kind of discuss and get your thoughts on the game here. So hope everybody
he has to be 10 seconds.
Oh, it's 10 seconds. Yeah, Royce, I beat your let's go. Or pardon me, SanAntonio.